since my childhood, I always loved helping people
Okay.
in any way or form that I could and help them to get their rights. I was terrible in getting my own right, but I was always good in helping people getting their rights. So I realized that this should be my profession.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Springfield Talks. And today's episode is super exciting because we have one of the most well-known and well-renowned real estate lawyers in Dubai in our office. We have Mr. Arash Zad, founder of the ZAD Law Firm. Arash, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much for having me.
I mean, it's a pleasure. We have been speaking over various cases and we've been planning this podcast for a while, so I'm so happy that you could finally find the time to do this with us.
You're here. Let's do this.
All right. So Arash, let's jump straight into this.
Sure.
All right. Everyone's seen you on TikTok. Everyone's seen you on Instagram. You have become the talk of the town when it comes to real estate law in Dubai. But not a lot of people know your story. So how did you get into real estate law and how did you become a lawyer? How did you decide to become a lawyer?
Yeah, interesting. Actually, I was supposed to be a doctor, to be honest with you.
Really?
Yeah, because that runs in the family, right?
Oh, wow.
So two of my eldest brother, they became doctors.
Okay.
So I meant to be a doctor as well.
All right.
But then all of a sudden I found out that that's not my thing. I hate being in the hospitals. I hate being around wounds and scars and blood and all that stuff. I like something else. So I started doing what they call it soul digging.
Okay.
And I realized that apparently I'm meant to be a lawyer.
You're meant to be a lawyer.
I'm meant to be a lawyer because since my childhood, I always loved helping people in any way or form that I could and help them to get their rights. I was terrible in getting my own right, but I was always good in helping people getting their rights. So I realized that this should be my profession. That's why I became a lawyer.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that you had a few siblings, so there are a few of them already doctors you mentioned, right?
Yeah, two of them. Two of them
doctors, one of them was a lawyer. Your dad and mom should be really, really proud of you guys.
Thank you so much.
And you've been a Dubai kid.
Right.
Yeah, so you were born and brought up over here. You've grown up in the city.
True.
All right. So why real estate law? Why not, other fields? What made you decide that real estate is, the field that you want to specialize in?
So there are two reasons for that.
All right.
Reason number one, I love real estate.
Okay.
I love investing in real estate. I love researching about real estate. And aside from that, Dubai is all about real estate.
That's true.
So that's a business.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, you see? So obviously if you are in this area, the requirement for such a service is always there.
Yeah.
And especially if it's something that fascinates you, why not?
Oh yeah, 100%. I always say this: if you have a passion for something, you're going to do it well. If you don't have a passion for something, you're going to do it a half-assed job at doing.
Absolutely agree.
That's I'm happy to see that someone like yourself decided to specialize in real estate. So tell our viewers, what do you think makes Dubai especially attractive? Because we've seen a lot of people from internationally that are investing in Dubai. What do you think makes Dubai especially attractive?
I think mainly it's because Dubai is booming on daily basis. So it's not like older countries like the UK that they have the market for many years, hundreds of years, and the growth is not as high as Dubai. So Dubai is a very growing city, and UAE in total is a growing country. But from the legal side of it, if I want to talk, which I think that's the area that you're asking me. My passion for real estate immediately drags me toward that kind of statements. But as a lawyer, I could tell you that the level of support and security that the government has created for the real estate investors brings people more in because they want to buy properties and invest in a country. If it's not their home country, they want to invest in a country that they can be assured nothing goes wrong. Of course, any country, you cannot say 100% is secure.
Of course.
You will have certain risks involved because it's an investment at the end of it.
Of course, no risk, no return, right?
But yes, that's true. But in the UAE, the risks are quite less. Laws are clear. Yes, it took us a while to have a more proper and well-established legal system around the real estate, but now we have it. Yeah. And now people are benefiting from it. Yeah. I think this is the biggest attraction.
And even if you look at the laws and regulations when it comes to being a developer in Dubai, it's not like every Tom, Dick and Harry can become a developer now. The rules and regulations with the escrow accounts
True.
and everything are so stringent now, especially on developers, that I think that adds a lot to the safety of the buyers in Dubai. What do you think about the rules and regulations that RERA is bringing forth?
So developers were freer previously. They didn't have that much of requirement, as you correctly mentioned. But as we went through many issues that was there, and people, they were kind of experiencing them while we were developing our legal system, then Dubai Land Department, they started putting lots of requirements. For example, if they want to start a new project, they have to go through so many filters to make sure that these developers are legit, they're proper, they can do it. And then they have to make sure that the land price is fully paid. They have to have an escrow account.
Yeah.
They have to put enough guarantees to make sure that this project will be built, right?
Yeah.
In case if they run away, in case if they stop building, okay, they can easily attach their assets, they can easily attach their belongings, their licenses, okay? And then they have this mechanism in place that they can take this project from this developer. If they fail to build, sell it to someone else, and then the new developer will start building. So all these things slowly were introduced, and it made it more secure and more perfect for investors. To
Yeah,
invest.
there's definitely more barrier to entry now. Not
Right.
everyone can just get into it. Where do you think we are in like the maturity of the market right now, in terms of the law side?
See, what had to happen in terms of building the infrastructure from the legal perspective has happened. Now what we are doing is that on daily basis we are experiencing new matters. New investors are coming, new ideas are being introduced, right? So the beauty of Dubai is that they're always open to ideas.
Yeah.
And
They're
that's-
flexible.
Changing
They
fast.
are, and they welcome new ideas. So when new ideas are introduced, new laws and regulations will
Are
be
required.
required.
Yeah.
You won't believe the amount of law updates that we have in the past few years. It's unreal, unreal. And this shows how healthy the system is. See, I'm not just taking side with what's happening. You have to be realistic, yeah? So many years ago, we never had this many law updates. But what's going on is that because the country is growing on
So
daily
fast.
basis,
So fast.
very rapid way, yeah? So they have to be ready for it. So the
Correct.
moment they bring ideas, they bring the rules and regulations.
Yeah.
But this is really good. It shows you how reactive the government is,
True.
how proactive they are, not reactive, sorry. How proactive that they are, that every new update, every new thing. I mean, and you rightly said, there's new visa laws coming, there's new regulation that is required for all of these changes.
That's
Rapid
true.
changes. Even in real estate, when people talk about Dubai, Dubai is what, a 22, 23-year-old real estate market, because previously there was no freehold, or the freehold market is relatively young. And for such a young city to develop at its stage right now, I mean, it is truly a remarkable feat by
That's
the
so
leadership.
true. That's so true.
You know, but tell us, Dubai is a very attractive proposition for international investors. What are some of the risks that you see for international investors in Dubai, or what are some of the risks that they should keep in mind when investing in Dubai?
So when people are coming from outside the country and they're trying to invest in the UAE for the first time, it's like any other countries. They have to first become familiar with the legal framework on how the investments and how the transactions are taking place here. What are the laws and regulations that affect their investment? They have to, first of all, make themselves familiar with how things work. One of the best way is to consult with a lawyer, of course.
To get in touch with you.
Not only me, any lawyer who know about the real estate laws and
Correct.
regulations, not just the law, in action, in practice, until the transfer happens and everything. So they need to get this information and then make sure that they are dealing with the right brokers. Okay.
That's where we come in, guys.
Yeah, that's true. So because there are many real estate companies,
Of course,
many real estate brokers. There are brokers that they are not even licensed and they're selling properties, which
They
is
just
wrong.
come up one day and then they're gone the next. You know.
That's it, you know. So you need to make sure that people that they are introducing you to these developers or to the secondary markets or any properties investments, they know their job, and they are properly trained. Yeah, And if that is taken care of, then you need to understand the locations, where you want to buy, what type of properties you're buying. If you're buying off-plan, what are the risks involved with that? What happens if a developer doesn't build? All these things, you need to understand it. It should not discourage you. It should basically give you the assurance that, okay, I am prepared for everything.
Correct.
If anything goes wrong, I'm prepared for it. If everything is okay, no harm's done.
Yeah.
So these are the major things that they should do. Familiarizing themselves with the rules and regulation, dealing with the right brokers, right developers, and that's it. And then making sure that their funds are ready if they're not mortgage buyers.
And another common question that we generally get from overseas buyers is that, all right, Farooq, I've bought this property. The developer promised me 3 years to develop. What if the developer takes longer? What are the rights of an investor?
In case of delay, we should go back to the agreement.
Okay.
Something that most people neglect at the beginning is reading their own agreement. They're signing the sell and purchase agreement without reading it. And sometimes when I tell them that, guys, have you read your agreement? They tell me that we are buying from the developer. They're not going to change the agreement even if we notice something. I said, okay, there are two things. Number one, knowing what you're signing, that's the biggest advantage. You should know at least what you have signed just to be prepared for it.
Yeah.
Even if they don't change it. And number two, if you see that there are clauses in the agreement that puts you in a very bad situation, it's very risky to sign, don't buy from that developer, for God's sake.
Exactly.
There are so many other developers that you can buy from.
True.
You see, so and again, depending on the number of the size of your investment, if you are a big fish and you are buying floors, there is a chance the developer will also agree to change the agreement for you. It happened before that the developer changed the agreement because the person bought half of the building. So they will entertain such exceptions.
So you should read it just so that you know. And second, maybe you could challenge some things, even with the developer.
At least you will be ready for it.
Correct. Correct.
How much time does the developer, what we believe is that the developer can delay up to a year without a penalty?
So that's a practice. We don't have anything as such that, as a rule or law that says that a developer can have a 1 year delay. Because it's very funny. And normally for employees in companies, they will tell them that in the morning you have 15 minutes grace period.
Okay.
And guess what happens? They consider the start of the work hour at that point.
At 8:15.
It becomes a practice.
Yeah.
So we
In
don't
real
have-
estate, it's 30 minutes. It's not 15.
It's 30 minutes actually, you're right. We come in the morning, we have to have our coffee because days don't start without coffee, and then we take it easy. But yeah, you're right.
So we don't want to say that, okay, there is a grace period like that, but the practice is that the judge will not give you a compensation or will not rule in your favor if only 1 year of delay was there.
Okay.
This become like a norm during the crisis. Because because of the crisis, they were saying that, okay, everybody was suffering. So give these guys a break.
Correct.
So for 1 year,
And supply chains took a while, materials were getting delayed. I know a developer that had ordered a specific kind of marble and kitchen appliances as well from Europe, and they got delivered 3 months late.
no.
And because of that, there were so many other things that got delayed because if the flooring's not there, you can't put other things that he needed
Domino
to put.
effect.
So there's a domino effect, and then there was some stuff that he had to pay demerit charges because materials. So the whole supply chain actually caused a huge issue for a lot of developers.
That's true.
I think people don't understand because there's so many contractors, subcontractors, so many people in the chain. Anyone delays, it delays everything. And second, a lot of people had long payment plans earlier. So that
That is
messes
also
up the receivables for the developers. So they will delay. In today's market, the payment plans are more aggressive. Developers are getting paid on time. So that's why I think we're seeing not as many expected delays.
That's true.
Correct?
So up to 1 year is compromisable.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but if it's more than 1 year, we have two scenarios. Scenario number one, some of the developers, they stipulate such a event in their agreement. They would say that, okay, if we have more than 1 year delay, which they consider it as a grace period, then more than 1 year, then we will pay you a penalty. Penalty normally is calculated per day, and they just pay it. That is what you can expect. So what they need to understand also is that if they have stipulated the maximum damages as X amount of money per day, then they cannot go and ask for more compensation.
Okay.
People will say that, okay, they told us that they're going to give us 15 dirham per day. But if it's, I want to ask for more. I said, you can't ask for more.
You can.
You can't.
Ah, okay.
Because you have already agreed that the maximum damages you can claim is this. You can't go beyond that.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. And the other scenario is that the agreement is silent. They're not talking about what will happen in case of delay. In that situation, then you need to ask the court to evaluate the damages.
Okay.
That's where you have to prove what actual damages has occurred. For example, if I wanted to buy this property for my own use and the property was not ready, I had to go and rent an apartment or a house. In that situation, I will just show the tenancy contract, how much I paid rent. So that could be considered as my...
Or as an investor, I could show you that I bought these 5 units of 1 bedrooms. I would have earned, I don't know, 100,000 per year on these 5 units. This is my damage.
So the potential damages are not
considered.
welcomed here.
Ah, really?
It's not like in the States.
Okay.
You can, in the States, you can say that I emotionally got damaged and I won $500,000
Yeah.
for that, yeah? No, here we are serious people, yeah? We don't,
You need to show me your damages. Okay.
yeah.
Oh.
Show me the scars, yeah?
Oh, damn. Oh, man. I mean, the US
That would be
is just
fun.
another game when it comes
It's
to...
too much. It's too much.
You know, someone
I think
hit a-
that's why you see so many ads everywhere I went. Lawyers. You know, because people are using them for unnecessary things.
It's a
That's the thing.
business, you know. I mean, people are probably praying for to get like a foot burn and buy McDonald's
Forget that,
coffee
if they
or
see a
something,
nice car.
Go
or
and ask
super
for
hot coffee. I remember someone sued McDonald's for giving hot coffee. They're like, this coffee is too hot, that it's dangerous.
I think they're bored.
And they won God knows how many millions of dollars. And I'm like, wow, like that's a thing. And if
It
your
is.
coffee's too hot, you can make money out of that.
It is. So when you keep it so wide and open,
Yeah.
so you create a business or you create an opportunity for people.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
created a business.
There are lawyers expert in this.
Yeah.
And you said ads, yeah?
Yeah.
So that's one of the difference between UAE and USA.
Correct.
Lawyers are not supposed to do advertisements here.
Yeah.
If you do an ad,
It's like
you're
you are
gonna get
promoting
disbarred.
more problems. You understand?
Yes.
In a way.
Morally, it's not right.
Yeah.
Morally, it's not right. At the end of the day, lawyers will get business, or let me put it this way: it's not about all solving issues. It could be about prevention as well. It could be about company formation,
Of course.
drafting, reviewing, stuff like that. That is not dealing with people's problems. But still, you're not allowed to do any sort of marketing or advertisement for that directly.
Okay. In Dubai.
In the UAE.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Very good.
I know we are all based in the UAE, and of course we have this love for the city. But where do you think we stand Dubai compared to other international markets? Because I know you're very well traveled, and where does Dubai stand as compared to most of the other developed cities around the world when our legal framework comes into question?
For real estate legal framework, I think we established a lot,
Okay.
considering how
Much time.
young this country is.
Yeah.
It's a very young country.
Yeah.
We have
True.
accomplished a lot during this short period.
Of course.
It's like a miracle. People are fascinated when they hear that, okay, this country 50 years ago, it was just dust, right?
It's not even one lifetime.
Yeah,
if you think
it's
about
not.
it, yeah.
It's not. Okay, and then during this period of time, accomplishing what we have accomplished from the legal perspective, it's a lot. Are we there yet? No, there's still more to learn, more to add to the system, and getting more secure. 100%. That's a part of the itinerary.
But compared to other countries, we're definitely up there, right?
100%. 100%.
I just want to reconfirm that because I believe you're up there, but I want to reconfirm from the legal expert.
Yeah, that's true.
I think, most of the bars that we're seeing, just today I was sitting with someone from Miami and he was discussing about Dubai's real estate, and, he asked me a few different questions about the real estate market and where we're heading. And, he's invested in Dubai, and, he's a big fan of Dubai, and he was telling us how Dubai is so much more advanced as compared to the US, or specifically in the Miami market, as compared to the regulations and things that we have in place already, and the safety and security. And that was a bit surprising for me, for someone to compare Dubai to the USA and actually say that Dubai's rules and regulations are very good, when it comes to buyer's perspective. And I was actually surprised because I didn't think that someone from the US would actually be saying Dubai is even better and even safer when it comes to investments.
Let me give you a few examples here now. Okay, that's a good question that you have raised. There are things that we have here, and we take it for granted. We think that, okay, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Should every other country, they have it.
Yeah.
It's not like that.
Yeah.
Other countries don't have such systems in place. For example, the power of title deed.
Hmm.
Here,
Yes.
when you have a title deed, rest assured nothing is wrong with the property. No
Correct.
one can claim anything, nothing could go wrong because
Okay.
the government has confirmed that this property belongs to this person. There is a QR code, you just scan it, valid, everything is, see how even adapting new technologies just to make
Yeah, there's a
everything
QR code in every title deed
so
now.
many countries, they still don't have this.
You can't verify it.
You
That's
can't
the
verify.
biggest
You have to
problem.
go. It takes. I know countries without naming any. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know countries that it will take you a couple of weeks just to make sure that this property actually belongs to this person.
Yeah.
There are some stories where people have sold the same property to someone who then
There we
sold
go.
it to someone else
Here we
who
go.
then said, no one owned the property.
And then they will nullify your transaction
Yeah.
because this property actually belonged to two,
Yeah.
three other people
Yeah.
who actually owns it. God knows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these things we are actually taking for granted because we have them. We don't value them as much.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. And then using the technology.
Correct.
I remember, you guys all remember, for buying a property, if we wanted to get a power of attorney, it was
Oh,
Yeah.
it was a hassle.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh my God.
Go to the notary public. If you're not in the country, you have to notarize it in your country. Go through at least 4 or 5 different authorities to get it attested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, anywhere in the world,
In Zoom, guys, you guys can get a power of attorney over Zoom now.
it's crazy. It's crazy how
amazing.
fast it is.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it because we need to get power attorneys all the time for our clients or from our clients.
So how easy they made it.
It's
you see?
amazing.
So this is where Dubai is way above so many other countries when it comes to.
Even the speed, right? So the speed of judgments and things actually happening, isn't it faster over here than a lot of countries? Because I've heard people get stuck in like some kind of property dispute for way too long. Like in some countries, sometimes
It was-
generations.
Mm.
They're still stuck on the same deal. Over
We
here, at
don't
least,
have that.
we have it. Everything is moving fast, which
Yeah,
is very
so
good.
it was slower before, but post pandemic, it became even faster
Yeah.
because now everything is online.
Correct.
Literally everything is online.
Even in your hearing, I think
Hearings
it's on
are
Zoom.
online.
Yeah,
You
I
don't
just-
need to go to the
Yeah.
court.
We had a rental dispute and they called us at 8 a.m. in the morning over Zoom. And I was sitting on a rental dispute for a client.
Yeah.
And I sat through the meeting and I'm like, wow. So the judge just appears on Zoom. Yes,
Yeah.
please tell me. And then someone explains their case and you explain your case all over Zoom in the comfort of your house.
That's true.
I mean,
And
that
you have a
is
translator available. Everything is
Everything
just
is there.
phenomenal.
So it's so ridiculously fast
Yeah.
that us as lawyer we are facing problem. We are not getting enough time between hearings.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
To
so
actually
previously it was a hearing today,
Yeah.
next hearing after a month.
Yeah.
Okay, it's reasonable. We have time to prepare.
Yeah.
But now, today is a hearing. After 4 days, it's another hearing.
Wow. On the
Why?
same case.
Yeah, because the judge is sitting in his chamber,
Yeah.
online,
Yeah.
handling 20 cases in a day.
Wow.
Insane.
Yeah, nobody needs to go in and out of the courtroom.
I mean,
You're
now-
right. We don't appreciate it that
We
much
don't.
because we don't compare it. Yeah.
I mean, in Pakistan, what Osman's saying, generations it can take in our country for a judgment to come. Or, these law cases, they just keep dragging on. The next hearing is after 2 years or 1 year because there's a backlog in the court system. There's just too many cases. Everything's physical papers. People tell me that the case got lost. I said,
Oh
what do you mean
my
the case got
God.
lost? They're like, oh, I don't know. There was a case file. It just went in, got lost. So things like that, at least we take it completely for granted in Dubai.
Yeah,
The
that's true.
fact that our legal system is so strong. And I think that's a backbone of any country. If your legal system is not strong, you can't develop. And worse yet, you can't attract foreign direct investment.
You can't do
Yeah.
the proper marketing. You can't sell your properties if people are genuinely worried about their investment.
Yeah.
Don't forget that international investors, they are taking a huge risk coming out of their country, investing in another country that they don't know.
Yeah.
So if you are not very secure, very strong when it comes to the legality, people won't be interested.
Good
That's
luck.
for sure.
Yeah.
One thing also I like about Dubai is that they have a no bullshit policy. If you break the law once,
No,
you're out.
absolutely.
They have a zero tolerance towards people breaking the law, and I think this is something that people need to know, and they know. I mean, a lot of people believe in the city, and I myself, I know. I was discussing with somebody recently that you could be living here all your life, but the day you make a mistake, the day you break a law, they do not have any tolerance.
Yeah.
They're fair.
They're fair.
And that's what
Fair,
keeps
they
people,
get the punishment.
you know,
yeah. Because if there is no punishment, people have a tendency of repeating them.
Yeah.
Correct.
So if you show mercy when you were supposed to actually impose a punishment,
Yeah.
then people will not perceive that in a positive way. They will use that as a loophole. They will use
Yeah.
it as a weakness.
And people abuse it. Everyone's going to
They
abuse
will.
their power, and then
No doubt.
Uh,
No doubt.
So you mentioned technology, and you mentioned Dubai is obviously taking advantage of all the technology. What about a chat GPT replacing lawyers? There was a recent news article that I read that everyone like, there's a
Have
new
they
fad.
replaced me already?
I mean, you're clearly
I'm out of
here.
work.
You're clearly-
You're clearly here. But how true is it? Is ChatGPT actually going to replace lawyers in the future?
So it's too early to say that.
Okay.
But from the sound of it, definitely it will replace few parts of what we do.
Okay.
For example, how can ChatGPT or any AI system communicate with the client, have sympathy? It's not all about knowledge. Yes, knowledge-wise, ChatGPT, because it has access to unlimited data, they can be more knowledgeable than a human being. No doubt about that. But a client who is suffering from an issue comes and sits, cannot sit with a robot. Needs to sit with a person who feels sympathy, okay, who understands the pain.
Yeah.
Okay, they need to see the reaction on my face as a lawyer. That's the emotional side of it. Aside from that, there are many times that we need to think on spot and change the whole strategy that was designed because of what we feel is needed at the time that could help our client to get their rights. So this is something that people are neglecting to understand. A robot, an AI, or a ChatGPT cannot have this flexibility, because at the end of the day, they are just intelligence, yeah, artificial intelligence. They cannot work or operate like a human being.
That's true.
Correct.
So we have so many advantages that we are holding.
not
in
there
our
yet.
So you guys are
arsenal.
safe now.
We're still safe.
They always keep saying
Yeah.
there won't be any need for brokers in the future. Everything's going to be done online. All your properties are going to be online. Everything, which I think will only it'll change how you rightly said. It'll change the way we work, but it'll never replace the human interaction that is needed. Okay, but previously everything was done by hand. Robots came in. Manufacturing became much easier. But there's still instead of maybe requiring 1,000 people to do something, we have 100 people to do the same thing, and things become much faster, and human roles change and evolve. So I think as a lawyer, as a real estate broker, technology adds to the whole
100%.
process. It makes it faster, easier, simpler. Things have lesser errors. With real estate brokers, with the use of technology now, we have more information, more access to more information. But I think at the end of the day, people still need people and human interaction
So true.
to tell them that, hey man, you're making the right decision.
That's right.
This house is nice. This house will appreciate. You can look at all the historical data. You can make assumptions of the future, looking at technology, looking at ChatGPT, looking at other AI tools. But you still need, I feel like, that human interaction. I still want to feel like, I had a case, I asked ChatGPT, but then I called Arash. And then Arash told me, hey buddy, go
That's
ahead. It's all good.
It's all
You
good.
need that. I think you need that. You can't?
Tell me, Farooq, do you read books?
Oh, yes, I do.
What type of book do you read? Paper book?
No,
Audible.
Audible. Okay. If you ought to read a book, read it.
Yeah.
What type of book do you use? Do you use paper book or you use Kindle or
Kindle
Pad?
or iPad.
What about you?
Just same. Online.
Online. For me, I read paper books.
Yeah.
Okay. Do I have Kindle? I do have a Kindle.
Yeah.
Do I have an iPad? I have an iPad. But I still like the touch of the paper
Oh, yeah,
when I'm
100%.
reading my book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Nothing can change that for me personally.
Mm.
It's exactly the same situation. There are people like yourselves that like to use digital tools.
But
Okay?
I like reading paperback books as well. I
That's
recently
the
just
thing.
read
So a bit of
book.
both.
It's a bit of both.
That's the thing, yeah. So
And
it's-
you're right, I enjoy reading paperback books. It's just that now I mostly listen to books.
Right, because of the time.
Because of the time, so whatever time I'm spending in the car, if I'm not on a phone,
Yeah.
I'll be listening to an audible book because I want to use that time a bit more productively.
Of course.
But still, the pleasure you have of reading a paperback book, it can be replaced by an iPad.
That's
It's just that sometimes it's just easier for me to purchase a book on Kindle or
Yeah, it's very fast.
So it's very fast. Otherwise, I have to go to the library, or not the library, or I have to go buy the book or order the book on Amazon. It'll take a few days for it to arrive.
Yeah.
But there are some books that I love and I've read them multiple times. And for those, I've specially ordered paperbacks because I enjoy reading that a lot more.
You highlight your books?
I highlight that book.
Oh my God.
There are
Look.
points.
That's why I can't read his book. It's all highlighted. I'm like, man, I don't want to read
Of
this.
course, digitally also you can highlight, but it doesn't give you the
Yeah,
feeling
yeah,
at the
yeah,
end of the day.
You don't get that feeling, till
It's
you don't
also-
go back to
it's
that
also-
page and you see that highlighted
Yeah.
comment that you wrote 4 years ago, and then you go back and reflect upon it. I think it's
That's
different.
That's the difference between technology and old school, right?
Yeah.
So we can always use technology in our advantage. Us as lawyers, we use ChatGPT. For example, if we are drafting an email, we don't spend that much of time drafting email ourselves. We just dictate it. ChatGPT can do the rest.
Correct.
It doesn't need proofreading. It doesn't need everything. Everything is so done. That's why we
Perfectly
can
done.
use it. If we should be fool not to use the technology in our favor.
Of course.
We should not say that, oh no, these guys will replace us. We should not use it. We should ban it. No, use it. Learn
Yeah.
and use it in your favor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
Adapt fast and learn.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think there was a podcast that I think Elon Musk did with Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Which went very viral, and he talks about all sorts of artificial intelligence, and there was a segment in the middle where he spoke about.
Was it before he gets high or after he gets high?
I think it was the part before he got high. But anyways, he was talking about how I think humans and robots or artificial intelligence in the future have to have a very symbiotic relationship where we have to work together. It'll just sort of improve processes. It'll just make things easier. And like you said, you'd be a fool not to use AI where your life can get easier.
True.
Even as a real estate broker today, we actually, because there was a few new people and I was talking to them about ChatGPT, and I'm like, you should use this to draft emails or to write, better quality content,
True.
online. Even on your social media, you can use ChatGPT to write a write-up, for example, for a LinkedIn post. It's really useful. Of course, you have to dictate the facts and figures.
And then the rest, ChatGPT will do it for
Yeah,
you.
ChatGPT will do for you. So that's something very interesting. But anyways, coming back, I also want to. There were a few questions by
Sure.
people, when they heard that Arash is coming to our office. So they said, what, we want to know about some of the rights of a tenant in Dubai. So
Okay.
the rents have been going up quite drastically. Just a few days ago, we saw that there was an article that the prices in 2023 have gone up by 14%, whereas the rents have gone up nearly by 25-26%, which is great. It shows that there's a healthy demand for real estate, and it's not just cash coming in and making the prices go up. There's a genuine demand for end users. But on the flip side, it's creating some issues for the current tenants as well,
True.
where the rents are going up and then landlords are asking for higher rent or asking them to leave. So what right does a tenant have in Dubai as if the landlord asks for a rent increase?
Okay. So previously we had the rental increase calculator that was introduced by Dubai Land Department. So as a tenant, what you should do is you need to go there. You guys know about this, of course.
Yeah.
You go there, you just enter the detail of your ijari or your unit, and then how much rent you are paying. So then based on the average rent, market rent, the calculator will tell you that, okay, is the landlord allowed to increase or they're not allowed to increase? So if the average market rent was more or less than 10%, it won't allow you the increase. But if it's more than 10%, then they have a table, right? 5%, 10%, 15%, 20% increase is possible. More than 20%, not possible. So that was the way that people could understand if they are entitled to for any increase or no, whether they are a landlord or a tenant. But now the situation is different. The situation is like this, that they are not just solely relying on the rental increase calculator, and the reason is that this calculator does not get updated on a regular basis. Number one, that could cause a problem. Again, going back to a country which is very fast and growing, especially in the real estate market. So the calculator cannot keep up with the speed, right?
Yeah.
So that's one issue, and the second issue is
That's
that
more an issue for the landlords. I think.
landlord. Yeah.
Yeah.
Both issues were related to the landlord. I'll
Yeah.
tell you why. Because there were properties or buildings in a community which was different than the other buildings.
It's a common problem.
You know?
You go to Marina.
Just like Business Bay and Marina.
Business
both.
Bay,
Everywhere.
Marina, where
Yeah.
you have very varying rents based on the quality of the building.
Yeah.
You know, there's some buildings, I mean, in Dubai and Business Bay, there's an apartment for 30 million dirhams, a two-bedroom in the Dorchester collection. And then you have a two-bedroom priced at even 2.5, 3 million. And of course, the rents of those two can be drastically up and down. Okay, maybe
Exactly.
I've taken two very big extremes, but still, there are some very good
But that's a
quality
fact.
buildings. You know, the rents, I mean, you can't
Yeah.
put the
Can be
rent,
tenants.
you can't compare the rent in these two buildings at all.
So that was causing problem. Yeah, that was causing a big problem for landlords. So what they did now you have the chance to ask for a property evaluation. You can use the REST app
Okay.
and appoint an expert to evaluate your property. And then they will issue a evaluation certificate. With that certificate, you would understand that, okay, what is the actual current market rent for that property?
That's
Okay, and
really
the
good.
landlord can use this.
The landlord can use this and ask for the increase.
Hmm.
Okay? This is number one. Now,
That is if the rental index is not giving a fair value.
no, in any case you
Anyway.
can ask.
Yeah.
In any case.
Yeah,
you can
choose
just
to do
ignore
it.
the calculator, just go for the evaluation certificate.
And are
that
there-
costs you 2,000 dirhams though.
Okay. And that rental evaluation, are there special companies that do that?
No, so you need to do it through the land department itself.
Okay.
Not just any expert. Because
Okay.
any expert, they
Could
could,
be
wrong.
biased.
They could be biased, yeah?
Hmm.
So, no, you just need to use the app or through the land department. You can appoint their own expert, and they are offering this service for a fee.
Oh, very good.
And then they're fair, they're neutral,
Okay.
right? So you get the certificate, and then you understand your position. If you're allowed, then you're going to ask. Now, how you should ask? 3 months prior to the expiry of tenancy contract, not even a day later, you should ask for the increase. You communicate this in writing through a notice to your tenant, and this notice should be either sent through notary public, registered post, and nowadays, again, so many people are not aware of this. They can even send it by an email. Previously, the email was not accepted, but now they accept the email which is written on the
Registered.
tenancy contract.
Okay. So the registered email of the tenant, if you email it from the registered email of the
It's
landlord,
acceptable.
it's acceptable.
Yeah?
Okay.
3 months prior to the expiry, communicate with the tenant. If they're happy, they're going to renew. They're not happy, they should leave.
Okay.
Okay. And in terms of the leaving, they need to give
So-
1 year notice, correct?
We are not talking about the rent increase now. We're just talking about leaving.
Yeah.
Leaving,
Eviction.
you cannot ask the tenant to leave.
Correct.
Yeah, as long as they are paying your rent, they're not doing anything illegal, they're not supposed to leave.
Okay.
Unless few conditions are there. If you want to use the property for your own use and you don't have any other properties. If you want to demolish the building or go through a major maintenance that requires the building to be empty, then that's also another thing. So there are few conditions, or if you want to sell the property, yeah, you can send a notice, give them 1 year time to find a new place, and then they should evict.
Okay. Now, another question, a common question comes that, okay, the landlord sent me this notice saying that he wants to sell the property, but then he doesn't sell the property. So,
Okay.
what can a tenant, now this is from the tenant's perspective, how can they verify that this landlord has actually sold the property or not?
So there are some landlords that they are a bit greedy, so they
Yeah.
see that the rent.
They see the rents are 100, 200,000, the old tenant's paying 100,000, and it's like, how much am I can't ask him to increase more than, I think the maximum is a certain percentage.
20%.
So that's also another thing.
And then he says, okay, I'll increase what, 120K? No,
That's another thing. So the 20% was during the time that we had the rental calculator. But now that you are able to get the evaluation certificate, there are cases that was accepted even more than 20% increase.
Okay.
For example, if the increase is huge, say for example 40%, 50%, it was less than the market value.
maybe sometimes even more.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I know some townhouses and some villas that were rented for 120, and now the market's gone to
250.
250.
Yeah, we had
You know,
such cases.
even some luxury villas. I mean, there was a time where the Dubai Hills Parkways, Ferris Villas used to rent for $500,000. Now they're renting for $1.5 million.
That's true.
You know, so it's
That's
not even
true.
100%.
Yeah.
It's like, you know,
Yeah.
gone way over that.
So judges, in some cases, they are actually granting the landlord to increase more than 20%.
Okay.
So that is also given.
All right. And what about this instance that, for example, the rent's gone up from $500,000 to $1.5 million. The judge says, okay, you can increase it, let's say, to $1 million. But the landlord still says, I'm still getting below the market rate. So let me tell this tenant,
I want to sell the
I want to
property.
sell the property. The tenant says, how much do you want to sell the property? The landlord puts a price 50% over the market, just so that the tenant says, okay, this makes no sense. And then the landlord eventually is unable to sell. Is there a rule in place to protect the tenant's rights?
There is. Basically, if you are sending a notice of eviction for the purpose of selling the property, this property will be blocked for 2 years. You cannot sell it. Sorry, you cannot rent it. When I say block, there's no actual block there, but you cannot rent it for 2 years. If you do so, the tenant can file a case against the landlord and ask for compensation.
Oh, wow.
And normally they are granted with compensation.
Wow, interesting.
The normal compensation that you can ask is the difference between the rent that you are paying and the new rent.
Oh, wow.
So that could be that could be lucrative for some tenants.
Of course.
Just live a year for free then.
Yeah. And trust me, there are tenants that they are actually keeping an eye on
Yeah.
property.
So Arash, if the landlord wants to increase the rent but he can't and he's not giving you the tenancy contract, what can the tenant do? What should he do?
What should the tenant know, first of all, is this, that if they stay in the property and not leave the property upon the expiry of the tenancy contract, the tenancy contract automatically gets renewed without even having a tenancy contract.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Great.
So you have a tenancy contract which was valid, right? And you did not receive a proper notice asking for eviction or rental increase in line with what the law permits. You just continue living in the house, don't do anything.
Oh, amazing.
Okay, but in any case, if you are worried that you don't have a paper in your hand that says that, okay, you're allowed to live here, or perhaps in some occasions you need to have an ijari for some other purposes.
Of course.
In that situation, what you can do is that you can go to the Rental Dispute Center, RDC, and file a petition. That petition will basically put you in a place, in a situation that you're asking the judge, allow me to submit the rent check because the landlord is refusing to give me a new tenancy contract. Then the judge will look into it, will grant you the permission to basically deposit the rent check. Second step is that you're going to file a case at the RDC again, and you will ask the judge that, okay, since he did not show up to collect the check, please provide me with the ijari. So what happens is that the court will basically get in touch with the landlord and tell them that, hey, there is a check for you. Do you want to come and collect it or not? You're not coming, no problem. The court will basically give you a tenancy contract from their side. So what will happen in practice? You will just give the same tenancy contract as last year. And the judge will authorize the registration at the ijari department, and they will give you an ijari from the court. And that's
Wow.
it.
Nice.
Perfect.
And whenever the landlord feels like it, they will come and collect their rent.
Oh, interesting.
That's what we're talking about, a fair system, you know?
Yeah.
So landlords, you need to give your notice 90 days earlier. And tenants, if you don't get it 90 days earlier, you're in the clear. You don't have to worry. Contact Arash or just go to RDC and you'll be fine.
Just live your lives. Don't
Don't move out.
Don't
yeah.
move out.
No, I mean, it's becoming a big problem. I mean, with the rents going up, landlords are getting greedy. People are asking for more rent. You know, tenants aren't finding similar houses, you know,
Yeah.
that existed a year back or 2 years back.
Yeah.
Since the market's moving up. But luckily in Dubai, you still have multiple options. I think that's a unique characteristic of Dubai. You know, I was in Singapore recently and I saw the rents over there were crazy. If you want to live in a good place, I mean, the prices...
Ridiculously high.
So Dubai is still a lot more affordable.
Yeah.
And I think that there are a lot more options, more space.
That's
at
true.
Still a relatively affordable price.
Farouk, the thing is that there are amazing laws and regulations that protects the tenant, but you need to be aware of it.
Yeah.
So if you're not aware of these laws, how you can use them in your favor?
Yeah.
you cannot rely on ChatGPT to tell you whether this is okay or not. You need to actually get a lawyer, and ask them, okay, this is my situation, what should I do?
Yeah.
And then they will guide you on how to do it. For example, a lot of people, they think they need to immediately take action. And there are lawyers also advising that let's file a case because they want to take a professional fee.
Yeah.
But if they come to me, I'll tell you, did you receive any notices? No. Are they stopping you from entering? No. Live your life. Why do you need a lawyer now? Just continue living.
Yeah.
Don't leave. If they come and knock on your door that we need the rent, tell them, okay, give me a tenancy contract. So they need to become aware of what are their rights.
Correct.
And then act accordingly.
I have another case that I know of where the landlord purchased a property on an auction. He got the new title deed. The old tenant is not willing to give the landlord the rent. So now the problem that's happening is that the landlord's like, dude, I bought this property, but this tenant isn't paying me the rent. Now he's going into litigation and all of those things. But what are the rights of an investor in that scenario? You buy a property and then the old tenant doesn't give you the rent.
So the right way to do this is that when you are buying the property, you have to make sure that the old owner is changing the tenancy contract into your name,
Correct.
replacing the checks,
Correct.
especially the deposits, and do the proper handover. They should not leave you hanging and just change the title deed. That's number one, that you have to demand from the first owner to do it. Let's assume that they have not done it. Okay. In this situation, when you are buying a property, the same way that all the liabilities are being transferred to you, all the rights are being transferred to you as well. So you are replacing the old landlord. They cannot say that, hey, I don't know you, I was dealing with the other owner.
Other landlord.
Okay, or the previous owner. So if they don't pay you your rent, you just send them a notice. You have 1 month to pay. If you don't pay, you'll go to RDC, file a case against them and ask for eviction.
Oh, wow.
Or even you can ask to execute the tenancy contract, the old tenancy contract, because you are replacing the owner now.
And then the rental dispute committee will because see, in this case, the owner bought it from on an auction. So the previous landlord had already left. And when his tenancy contract ended, was I think a couple of months after he purchased it. So the old tenant had to issue new checks for the next year, but he didn't.
So that's where you're going to demand that. You're going to send a legal notice. If that didn't work, then you're going to go to the RDC and file a case against the
All
tenant.
right. So I'll definitely
Because
tell
they have to adhere to this. Yeah, the laws are clear. You need to pay rent. You don't get a free ride here.
Of course.
You're living in the house. You have to respect the rules. Sign the new tenancy contract. Give your checks. You don't, you will be served a notice, and then eviction will
take place.
take place immediately. Yeah.
What about we have a lot of international investors, okay, and they have this question: in case that they do pass away or something like that, what happens in that scenario?
Oh, interesting. So it depends if they are Muslim or non-Muslim.
Okay, in both cases.
Yeah. So if they are Muslim, obviously the Sharia law
Applies to
will apply.
them. Okay.
If they are non-Muslim, two scenarios are there. Scenario number one is they have a will. Scenario number two is they don't have a will. If they don't have a will, the properties in the UAE will be subject to Sharia law.
Oh,
Okay.
really? Even if they're non-Muslim?
Even if they're non-Muslim.
Okay.
Okay. But if they have a will, then the legal heirs can ask the court. Of course, if they have a will and the will says that, okay, I want to apply the laws of my own country in case if I pass away.
Oh,
Okay.
So you can
Does
do
that will need to be attested in Dubai or?
So
in their
you
country?
you can do your will outside the country, but you need to make sure that this is translated into Arabic and attested all the way to the UAE embassy as well as UAE Ministry of Foreign Affairs
Okay.
in the UAE. Then you can use it in the court.
Okay.
Okay,
Great.
interesting, because there's a lot of people, this is a very common question with international investors, and people are sometimes a bit scared. I mean, young people sometimes, they're a bit scared to write a will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, I don't think it's my time yet. I don't think I need to write a will. And, I mean, only God knows when's your time to go. But I think people need to get onto this.
Yeah.
And is this a service that you guys provide?
Yeah, sure. See, most of my serious investors, clients, that they are purchasing properties, many of them, they are extremely young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nowadays, they learn about this and they are super ready for it. So they think that this is part of their investment. If they are purchasing properties in a country, let's make sure that what will happen to this property in case if I die.
Yeah.
So normally they make mirror wills for
Okay.
themselves and their spouse.
Okay.
So in case of any of them passes away, what will happen to the property?
Okay, interesting. So Arash, tell me, a lot of people.
Oh, you
want-
have your name on your cup.
Yeah.
And you have also.
Arash,
That's my.
next time we need to
Springfield.
take that as a note, guys.
No, come on, it's not worth it.
No, definitely, that's a good idea.
You have your name there, man.
You have
You
my
your
name
name
there,
there.
my name
My name
there.
is small over here.
We'll print out a name tag for you. All right, so Arash, tell us this. A lot of people prefer or ask us that should I buy a property on my own name or should I buy a property on a company's name or should I form an offshore company? What are the benefits or the advantages and disadvantages of forming a company? I mean, is it better to buy a property on your own name or on the name of a company?
So depending on where you want this company to be, there are investors who would like to stay anonymous and they don't want their name to be on the title deed due to so many reasons. We never ask them for the reasons, of course, but that's their preference. So what we do is that we form an offshore company for them. As per the UAE laws, you're not allowed to buy properties under British Virgin Island or any other offshore companies overseas. The only offshore companies that are allowed is Jebel Ali Free Zone
Okay.
offshore company. You can buy properties in Dubai and register it under that particular company. Or RAC. RAC is also acceptable if you have offshore companies in any of these two. The offshore company, even if you look at their license, the name of the owner is not there.
Okay.
So they stay anonymous and they don't need to reveal the name for the public. That's one of the reasons that they do it. Another reason is that perhaps if they are planning to sell shares in this property, and there are few partners. So what happens is that 3-4 partners, they can form one company. And then that company can buy a property.
So Arash, a lot of people look at you, look up to you. What advice would you give to people who are now recently joining your industry, want to become lawyers? What advice would you give them in Dubai?
So what I normally tell them is understand what is your passion. All of us, we love to be lawyers, yeah? But in which industry? We need to understand what fascinates us, which
Correct.
department, which type of legal service. Understand that and then go all in. I hate being jack of all trades.
Correct.
And I think that lawyers that they take all kind of cases or deal with all type of legal services, they can't be masters in any of those fields, yeah? Because there are so many things to learn. I would advise them to find your own niche in this industry and try to read as much as you can, be as savvy as you can, and then find out the right law firm. So not all law firms are dealing with all type of cases. So if you are, for example, interested in real estate law or commercial law, find the law firm that they are actually focused on that.
Correct.
Go and start working and getting training as much as you can. Even if they don't pay you salary, do it.
100%.
Just go, grind, yeah? Try to learn as much as you can because whatever they are teaching you, of course, don't let them take advantage of you working for free and not teaching you anything, yeah? Make sure that in return they are teaching you. So learn as much as you can, and then when you think that, okay, now I'm in a position that I can really add value, that's the time that you demand salary. That's the time that you demand, okay, give me something in return so that I can also survive. So don't be afraid of working for free for a few months at least, just to pick up on so many
Quality experience.
experience. That's the
Yeah.
thing, because not everything is in the book.
For sure.
There are so many things in the law firms you will experience firsthand.
And finding good mentors there, you know, you can learn
That's true.
fast.
That could help a lot.
And how much can a lawyer make in Dubai? What do you think?
That's the $1 million question.
That's the number one question we get as brokers as well, you know, as a
All right. So lawyers, it depends on how many years of experience they have.
okay.
An interesting part is how many languages they speak.
Okay.
So, for example, if you only speak English, it means that most probably you will not be able to read so many documents because everything in the court is in Arabic. So if you don't speak Arabic or you don't read Arabic, that's not really in your favor if you want to work in litigation. So if you're experienced, if you know both languages at least, these are all adding to your package, right? So a junior lawyer could demand something between 7, 8, 9,000 dirhams per month, okay, because they don't have experience and they are just learning now. And then this could go all the way up to 100K per
Okay.
month. And then, of course,
And more.
if you become a lawyer and you have your own firm, then it's a whole...
Then the
Then you
sky's
could
the
become
whole
limit.
game.
Arash Zad and then those are the millions. We just let it out there, you know.
No,
So basically, in Dubai, sky's the limit if you're becoming a lawyer.
that's true. That's
Yeah.
true.
Okay.
And then you become a TikToker.
And then you made the real money. Social media. All right. I mean, I have to ask you this question as well before we end the podcast. How has social media benefited you? Because you and me, we're both, I mean, now, of course, everyone is on Instagram, but I think maybe when you were starting off as well, and in your space especially, there's not too many lawyers on TikTok or Instagram. So how has that benefited you?
So when I started on TikTok, actually I was the first lawyer on TikTok in the whole region.
I
Oh,
think so.
wow.
I'm pretty sure.
The
I mean, I saw you. I'm like, oh, there's a lawyer on TikTok. And wow. I mean, I was so attracted to that. I'm like, dude, I need to consume all this content. You know?
So people didn't expect me to be there.
Yeah.
And obviously, when you were scrolling up, you see all girls and boys dancing and
Ah,
singing and all that
love
stuff.
those, love
All of a
those.
sudden, you see this guy with a suit and tie and
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about laws. Oh my God, wait a second, who's this guy? What is he doing
Oh,
here?
but that must have helped you because you were,
That's what
Different.
helped my account to grow significantly. And I did that mainly just to give back to the society, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I felt that, okay, there are so many basic information that people are not aware of, things that could literally change their life. And when I'm saying this, I'm not exaggerating. I receive so many messages. People are thanking me that they have a single video basically changed their life. So when I see this kind of comments, this is my motive. Yeah, this is my
It's worth more
my
than money.
fuel that
Yeah.
keeps me running.
100%.
So that what helped me go forward. But I have to be honest as well that in return it brings more exposure. It brings a brand awareness, which is amazing. The social media can do an amazing job in that
I mean,
department.
you and I know each other through social media.
That's so true.
I mean, that's how we got connected the first time. I called you up for a few inquiries, and I'm sure it's massively added to your business. Especially the fact that you're more inclined towards real estate, and you're more tuned towards the real estate market, and people overseas sometimes need to get information, and we're consuming all our content on our devices now. So if you're on your mobile, you're going to be consuming all your content there.
That's where all the eyeballs are, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think it builds credibility. It builds massive credibility. If you're someone overseas and you look at a lawyer on TikTok, at least they know you, they know where your office is, they know you are, a legit lawyer.
That's so true.
It adds a lot of benefit. And, being the first mover in this industry. And sometimes people tell me content creation is not that easy. We're a lawyer, it's boring, well, why should I be on
Yeah.
TikTok? I mean, what's so interesting in this?
And it's not easy thing, especially for us because we are dealing with a very sensitive information. We are talking about legal matters, so we have to be extremely careful, evaluate the information that we are sharing, just to make sure that everything is so accurate, is correct, and then put it out there. Because sometimes videos will be viewed by millions of people. Imagine if you're, and I see, unfortunately, now there are many, not unfortunately, there are many lawyers. That's good that there are many lawyers, but unfortunately, there are some people who are sharing information that is basically wrong. Recently, I found a video viewed by 3 million people, and the person was giving a very, very bad, wrong, unprofessional opinion. And he's a lawyer.
Yeah.
So that hurts the
Industry.
the
Credibility.
industry. So we don't like that. We like more lawyers to come on the platform, but feel responsible about what they are sharing. And so because the social media could help. Recently, I had a gentleman who was like 70 plus came to me, and then I always ask him, "How do you know me?"
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So when I asked him, "How do you know me?" he said that through TikTok. I said, "Man, do you watch
said
TikTok?
so.
Seriously?" He said, "No, I don't use TikTok." I said, "So how?" He said, "My daughter.
Yeah.
She
Oh
heard
my
me over
God.
the phone
Yeah.
that I'm
Oh my
saying
God.
to my partner that I need a lawyer, and she came to me, Dad, if you want to hire a lawyer, you have
This
to
is the
hire
guy.
Arash
This guy,
Zad."
oh my God. I have shared this exact same story
Literally.
with my staff in the
Wow.
office, that I had a similar, very aged person come up to me, and we ended up doing a transaction. Of course, I always ask people as well, like, how did you hear about us?
Right.
Why did you come to us? He said, he told me the exact same
Interesting.
story.
Yeah.
Long story short, we ended up selling him a penthouse. The guy said, I asked him, I said, how did you watch me? Like on TikTok. And I said, TikTok? Because I actually used to kind of ignore TikTok. I was more active on YouTube and Instagram. And then I said, you know what, TikTok, I'm not too sure. Like you
He thought he
rightly
was too
said.
old for TikTok at that
I thought
time.
I was old
and
for
then
TikTok.
this guy was 70, 80, and he's like, I found you on TikTok.
I found you on TikTok in the same story. Like my child actually showed me this video on TikTok. And then that's how we got in touch with you. And then I liked the property. And then that's how I got in touch with you. So I was telling my staff that do not ignore any social platform. You might not be using TikTok, but someone else might be. You might not be using Instagram, but someone else might be. You might not be
You have
using
to be
LinkedIn,
everywhere.
but someone else might be. So you have to have a sort of omnipresence along different platforms. And I think that is very, very important. And I think the future is moving more and more towards content creation. The fact that we're sitting over here giving people excellent value. I really want to thank you, Arash, for taking the time
My
out
pleasure.
because, guys, this guy charges a bomb per hour. I'm just joking.
Don't
but-
scare people up. I'm not that
no, but
expensive.
come on. I mean, Arash is one of the leading real estate lawyers. So if you guys ever need a lawyer or some legal advice, I'll make sure to put Arash's details in the description below. So make sure you guys connect with him and I'll make sure to add all his social media profiles as well to the description below. If you guys have any questions, please make sure to ask in the comment section below, and we'll make sure we do another one of our podcasts and include all of your questions and concerns about Dubai's real estate market and any legal advice that you may need. So thank you, Arash.
Thank you,
once again
Arash.
My
for
pleasure.
joining us.
Thank you for having me. It was an amazing podcast.
Amazing
A lot of fun.
podcast. I had a lot of fun. I think we added a lot of, covered most of the interesting questions that we had.
Fantastic.
And
I'm happy.
Once again, thank you so much for doing
My
this.
pleasure.
I hope
And
to
see you
around.
soon. See you again.
Definitely.
Inshallah.
All right.
Good day again.
Thank you so much.
All right.
man. Thank you, Arash.